Absolutely. As we've been seeing in the UK, they want to increase it, so it's going to be 3 times as much every year for any student to go to university. And for me, at the moment I'm studying for my doctorate, but if I want to get a job after that in the UK, I'm asking myself serious questions about why I would want to be doing that, because it's going to be a very small number of very rich children, students who can afford to go to university. So for me, that's a moral problem. So because of this reason, I'm totally for completely publicly funded education, and I'm sure that it's possible, certainly in the UK, if they can afford to go to Libya and pay much more money for such things. So yeah, basically. Okay, so as you probably know, that at the moment we've got a coalition in power with the Tories and the Liberal Democrats. Tories, they do what they say on the tin. They are the ruling class, basically, whereas the Lib Dems speak more of a logic of democracy. They're much more socially liberal than the Conservative Party. But at the end of the day, it all comes back down to money in the marketplace, and they're very much liberal in an economic sense as well. Okay. They went into a coalition with the Tories. They've completely broken a lot of the promises they made to people in the run-up to the elections, thinking that they wouldn't get in, which enabled them to have more sort of so-called radical views from their perspective. And now we're in a situation where they've agreed to all kinds of things. We've had bank bailouts, we've had this shocking change to the education system as well, and then we've had the riots. And in fact, the head of the Liberal Democrats, Nick Clegg, actually said before the elections, if the Tory party get in, there's going to be riots. And he was right on that prediction. He just didn't think that maybe he'd be part of that coalition. So the riots, well, I don't want to condone what happened. I certainly don't want to condemn it either, because it was an outbreak of a lot of fury which a lot of people were feeling. And the riots were very well planned, they were very well organised, but at the same time they had no clear political agenda. They were much more of a sort of an expression of mass discontent, which a lot of people are feeling. And a lot of people are going to be feeling more and more over the next year because of the squeeze to the public sector which is going on. So there's going to be a lot more redundancies. People are already seeing a big drop in living standards, and this is only going to intensify over the next year. So there's going to be more, basically. That's all I can say about that. The first thing I'd like to point out is that this is very little talked about in the media in the UK. If you want to find out what's going on in Spain, you have to read the Spanish media or find access to alternative media, because they just don't, on things like the BBC, there's very little about it. They're playing it down, which suggests that the current government are scared. On the one hand, what's going on is horrible in terms of the way in which people's ways of life are being affected. But on the other hand, I am very optimistic, because there's also a sense of hope, which there hasn't been for perhaps the last 30 years, certainly in the UK. And we've now got a completely new generation of people who are politicised and are willing to actually go out and do something, which 10 years ago would have been unimaginable. So on the one hand, the situation's scary, but on the other, it's very much more hopeful than it was as well. So.